Next, I give the floor to Kisha. You have the floor.
On the questions and the discussion, I had one observation. So you think it makes sense to operate at the intersection of domain and technology, for example, AI for agriculture, AI for manufacturing, AI for banking, and AI for health and healthcare and life science. That way, the partnership would be much more focused on getting a particular outcome.
Yeah, thank you for that suggestion to organize perhaps partnerships also in sectorial way on looking at the work on AI. There will be quite extensive discussion on the text work on artificial intelligence this afternoon. We'll take this suggestion, and perhaps that can also be considered in that context of agreeing on the next activities on this work, including some partnerships.
Thank you. Thank you, Erwin, for the presentation. The agenda draft, point 30, which is the high-level panel discussion, where we have representation from all the different, annex and non-annex country, and there were specific questions. The question number 3, which says that what aspects need to be taken into consideration to ensure an inclusive and just application. I believe that particular point is to address the ethical consideration and potential biases that comes with AI. But there was a point these developing countries would need to leapfrog and take advantage of this particular technology to drive climate action. My recommendation was that if that question could also, answer the policy-specific needs, that is both innovative and trustworthy elements, which is more of a concern at the global level right now from this particular technology, that would help developing countries to take advantage. As we know that policies are normally couple of years behind, and some of the countries are not able to take advantage of cutting edge technologies because of the regulatory and the policy lag. The other element which I wanted to mention was what mentioned by Ambrosia about the climate tech specifically. So I'm assuming that Tomorrow IO is coming up with a very specific climate solution based on AI.
Kisha, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you, Chair. Firstly, thanks, Rajiv, for the presentation. I have a couple of comments. One on the green database WIPO. With all these, knowledge management system, some of the technologies, they get outdated. So is there a governance mechanism to ensuring that the database is kept relevant in terms of the technology advancement? The countries get the best advantage of it. And the second question about echo the view from Christopher and Alistair about the DLT being a superset and blockchain being a subset and different types of blockchain. But having said that, there is a good case for blockchain in supply chain management. Do you see and trade finance specifically, which could be run at a global level and not only at jurisdiction or a country level? A case which Deutsche Bank came up with a great use of technology within the blockchain hyperledger fabric, and they digitize the letter of credit between the countries to ensuring that it becomes a smoother and more efficient way of running trade finance. At the same time, a Danish company, a shipping company, Maersk, and University of Copenhagen, they came up with another good mechanism to digitize the inventory using hyperledger fabric again, which meant that there's a good potential to reduce the emissions there. So the technology has a good potential to ensuring that we have a circular economy. We address the very pressing issue of the circular economy, but at the same time, we have to ensure that there is a responsible governance around it to implement this technology as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kisha.
First of all, many congratulations to put an effort to get 300 plus participants to respond to a 15-minute survey with a 70% of your completion rate is quite a commendable, task. Couple of observations. One specifically, you referred IPCC to distinguish the technologies. One, established technologies like your solar energy, wind energy, forest ecosystem, and so on and so forth. And then you had the less developed, clean tech technologies like the carbon storage and the other ones that you have mentioned a while ago. Did you also have a discussion to consider nature-based solutions as well as per the latest IPCC reports, or is that something outside that you had intentionally not considered? And another observation that I had was about the demographic specifically. There was you briefly mentioned about it from a developing countries. You had around 26% participation. Is there a way that to distinguish further in terms of developing Africa, developing Asia, what sort of participation would be there? And also, one comment around it is because I completely understand the challenge that you had in terms of the resources and the capacity that you mentioned. You have 4 or 5 people. So, would it help to announce such sort of a survey in other events like the Climate Week in Africa and to get more participation from developing countries and similarly in other developing regions as well? And also, you mentioned about the one of the challenges around funding, where some of the clean tech startups does not scale up because of some funding need. Do you think it would be good to exchange notes with UNFCCC, where a lot of financial services institutions come in, and they are quite keen to get insights like the way you have in terms of the opportunities for all those members to also take benefit and scale up startups are not scaling up, so that all three stakeholders or parties could benefit from that perspective. And the last one that I had specifically again from a demographic perspective was single-digit female participation. Then you had quite a large of male participation. Was there any participation from not so able community as well? For example, the disabled community as such. Good morning. Thank you first of all for this really great presentation. Specifics to question number 2, I had a few recommendations about what type of knowledge product would be most fit for purpose. Point which Fred made, and just to add on to that about how would we encourage developing countries to adopt to the system, and specifically from a financial investment in developing country. For example, if the investment of 100 million in such system in developing country could lead to potentially preventing a loss of 1 to 3 billion. That's a scale that we can promote them to share with them to onboard onto such system. And also the usage, for example, the edge system that it could be used through mobile communication network, and there is no need for new systems to be purchased or created for end users, have ease of use. And from a KPI, which Ambrosio mentioned about the KPIs, specifically along with other KPIs, it would be good to put a false alarm KPI as well. That number of false alarm is decreasing year on year or quarter on quarter. That way they will have more confidence in the product. One more point which I was thinking about was about the integration of multiple data sources. For example, algorithm would have the ability to integrate data from different data sources. However, the local contextual knowledge from the people, indigenous people, they gather and integrate into the algorithm to make it more robust. Thank you.
Thank you, Kisha. Next.
Thank you for your questions were first, and so let me go through them. Demographics would be a very interesting point to be considered alongside others that were mentioned also by your colleagues, which we would have to implement into the design of the survey. We have various options of continuing work on this survey or letting suggestions flow into future surveys, be they done together or be they done just by us. You mentioned you had two key questions that I would clearly answer with yes. Would it help to be included in other formats and mentioned in other formats? Oh yes, it would. It would help a lot, because I think we could increase our reach in the target regions where we do not have enough representation in the survey yet through these formats, including also to get the support by the UNEP finance program and other segments. Of course, visibility would matter a lot, and we would still need to do it in a way that we avoid a bias in these fields either.